Hey, welcome back tuning in to today's video. It's JMA Friday. Every Friday we have a look at the Japanese model for the coming month. We'll have a look at that in a moment. There's the charts just there, so we'll have a quick look at those charts broken down into week periods for the coming month. Also have a look at the CFS for the coming month and also for the remainder of the winter, so that'll be quite interesting. And then I'll have a look at the charts for the next week to 10 days, taking us just before the Christmas period. Now, before I get on with that, just want to say about the ads. There's links to articles sitting underneath the web video here on the homepage at gazmovies.com. Have a browse through the widgets, and if there's any articles that you're interested in, just click through and you'll be able to go off and read those articles. There's green keyword ads on some of the pages at gazmovies.com. If you roll your cursor over green keywords, they display ads. If you click through the words, you go to advertise website. You support gazmovies.com when you do that. There's yellow contextual ads on most pages. They are weather related, so anything there that you're interested in, just click through. And Gav Shop is still open. You've still got time to do your Christmas shopping at Amazon, so if you've got any Christmas shopping to do at Amazon, just go through the Amazon banner in Gav Shop. It'll take you off to Amazon, and there you can do your Christmas shopping. And because you click through from Gav Service to Amazon, we get a revenue fee on things that you're purchasing. But a huge success this year. Thanks so much to everybody for getting involved in that and clicking through to Amazon from Gav Service to do their Christmas shopping. Thanks so much for doing that. So let's start off with JMA Friday. As I say, it's the monthly update from Japan that we always have on a Friday. These are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first thing to say, as we always have to explain with this, is that the British Isles is just there. The charts are upside down. I've never yet been able to come up with a way of flipping these around. I've tried to download them and sort of flip them around through the Windows software, but I can't get it to work. So if anybody knows how to do this, do please email me at gazmovies@gmail.com to tell me how you can flip these around. Anyway, it's fairly easy to work out what's going on there. The blue colours are extrapolating to below average heights, that's low pressure. Orange is extrapolating to above average heights, that's high pressure. So we've got the low pressure to the north of the country, we've got the high pressure down to the southwest of the country. The flow is coming through something like that. So it's Atlantic dominated. It's cool at times because we're bringing in cooler sectors from the northwest, also bringing in milder sectors from the southwest, but overall the flow is generally westerly off the Atlantic, so never desperately cold. You need northern blocking to get real cold conditions, sub-zero type weather with heavy snow. That sort of real depth of winter cold isn't on the cards with this sort of a setup because the air is Atlantic based. Nevertheless, you can get some cooler periods coming through. We've got one of those coming through today, actually. It's going to be quite cold in many parts of the country today, but it'll go on Sunday. Now have a look at the second week period, and by the way, that first week period took us from the 11th to the 18th. This one takes us from the 18th to Christmas Day to the 25th, and it's the same sort of setup really. The high pressure is down to the south-west of the country, now to the west of the country, maybe a little bit closer, so if anything that could be a little bit drier for southern parts of the country in particular. Up to the northwest we've still got the trough of low pressure. The flow is still generally Atlantic based, with high pressure closer to the southwest though. There is the prospect with this that it could turn a little bit cooler, particularly at night. You could get some night frost being generated with that one, but again, overall it's not a desperately cold scenario because you need to get blocking over Greenland and over the pole particularly, and this blue here needs to be to the south of the country to really lock into a cold pattern. Nevertheless, there could be some frost with that, especially in the south, with that high pressure close by. And we're going through to the final 2-week period, taking us from Christmas Day through to the 8th of January. And it stays very similar, to be honest. The low pressure, the blue colours, remain up to the north of the country, solidly sticking around Greenland and Iceland. The ridge is down to the south, maybe going further south actually. So if anything, that could be turned a little bit more unsettled. It may, as we're going to the start of the year, it may turn more unsettled on that sort of setup. But the flow, again, between the ridge to the southwest, the high to the north, to the ridge to the south, the low to the north, the flow is generally off the Atlantic. So it's Atlantic based, but JMA is seeing that the next month is generally Atlantic based with the air masses. So consequently, even though it could be chilly at times, you could get some colder snaps coming through, nothing there suggesting a particularly cold spell in the near future. Let's have a look at the CFS. Again, these are 500 millibar heights. These are broken down into week period. The first week period taking us from the 12th to the 18th, so through the coming week. Blue again is low pressure. Orange, red is high pressure. So similar sort of scenario to the Japanese. Really got the low pressure to the north of the country. The ridge is out to the west and to the southwest, around there. The flow coming through is something like that. So again, at times bring colder sectors through, some cold air coming out of Greenland. At times we bring warmer sectors through, and all relatively Atlantic based with the air masses. Go through to the next week period, taking us from the 19th of December through to the 25th of December. The trough, again, is to the north, maybe a little bit more to the northeast. The ridge down to the southwest. So, if anything, that could be turning a little bit cooler through that week up towards Christmas. Perhaps more definitively northwesterly with the air mass, actually, on that one. So, a little bit cooler there than the Japanese, perhaps, for that weekly period, going from the 19th through to 25th. Again, not severely cold. We've not got pushing the cold air out of the North Pole, but it's a little bit cooler with that, I think. And if for the north, you could get some wintry conditions at times coming through. Now, the next week period goes from the 26th through to the 1st of January, through to New Year's Day 2015. Similar setup again. The low is set up as quite a deep trough there over Scandinavia. The ridge is down to the southwest, so again, the flow probably going through something like that. So perhaps more northwesterly with the air mass, really, than the JMA is indicating. Not depths of winter, not severely cold, but cool at times, particularly for the north, where there could be some wintry conditions coming through. And then finally we go through to the final week period, which takes us from the 2nd to the 8th of January. This is quite interesting. We've got the trough there, still towards Scandinavia, actually moving more towards the northeast of Scotland. Now notice we've got hints of a little bit of high pressure setting up over Greenland, and that extends down in towards the Atlantic. Now what could happen with that is that this trough could start to entrench some colder sort of polar air into it. So that could be turning things a lot colder as we get through towards the start of 2015. It's not been indicated by the JMA yet, and these charts from the CFS model do change day by day. So a lot of caveats with that, but it is potentially, this one, a colder scenario. You could start to bring some properly cold air down into that trough, but sort of elongating from Scandinavia in towards the British Isles. That's quite an interesting one, and that would be, I think, a colder start to 2015. This is the CFS city temperature forecast for the next 6 weeks from the website weatherweb.net, and we can see that for the next week or so we're going to be generally trending upwards, with the temperature getting quite mild there through to around the 18th, 19th. Then things cool off a little bit, and running up towards Christmas, actually it does turn cooler, and we set up quite a coolish spell there. That's probably based on what I was just looking at from the CFS model. Quite a cool spell goes on through the Christmas period into the start of the new year as well. Temperatures generally by day 2 to 4 degrees, something like that in Birmingham, and quite a bit of night frost as well. This is the freezing temperature just here. These are minimum temperatures, these blue sort of dips that you see just there. They're minimum temperatures. So quite cold nights coming up as well. And we get through towards the middle of January, long way out, and not really worth worrying about, but we get through to the middle of January, and the temperatures then start to lift up. But let's not worry about that. That period from around, say, the 18th, 19th of December through to, let's say, around the 15th of January, that's quite a cold period, really, showing up there. It's not severely cold, really, not sub-zero temperatures by day, but quite a cold period being indicated there, to be honest. Certainly coming out a little bit below average. That could be just based on what we was looking at with those charts broke down into weekly periods. The monthly anomaly from weatherweb.net from the CFS is for December. This is the monthly anomaly for the month that we're in. It's pretty good representation. Really, the low is up to the north, the high is down to the southwest, and we're bringing the flow go through like that. So it's Atlantic based, but there is cooler air being entrenched within that at times. We go through to January's anomaly. This is the anomaly that we see for January. It's very similar, really. Again, we've got that low out to west of the country. A little bit of ridging through the central part of the Atlantic, through the central part of the Mediterranean as well. And just the hints of a little bit of blocking there over the top of the pole. And the flow is going through something like that. So again, for January, seeing quite an unsettled month, particularly to west of the northwest. But that blocking over the pole is quite interesting. As we get through to February, but I just throw this one in, but it does change a lot. In February, that blocking becomes much more substantial over the pole, and this low pressure sets up in the central part of Europe, and what would happen with that is that you really would start bringing some very cold air from the north and the northeast. And there's always been a suggestion, it's in my winter forecast, there's always been a suggestion, but as we go through the winter, the trend is probably to turn things colder. So February probably has the greatest potential for cold, and that's what the CFS is seeing there. That February is the month that really does set up that trough in Central Europe, and that will push the flow into the northeast. So all very speculative, but very speculative, I should say, anyway. But nothing too desperately cold showing up for the foreseeable future. Having a quick look at the next week, 10 days. Finally hits the GFS middle of next week, bringing in a mild westerly flow here off the Atlantic. Got high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north. So very good sort of setup representation of what we're looking at from the JMA and the CFS for the coming week. Now we cut off that mild supply for the middle of next week and replace it with a cooler interlude on the 19th. Bring winds around to the northwest again, so that brings a cooler push there from the north. The high pressure ridges in going through to Saturday the 20th, settle things down, possibly produces some night frost as well. We go through to Monday the 22nd, day 10, and we're back into a mild southwesterly flow once again, but no doubt there's a cold front within that's pushing southeastwards, and behind it we would turn it cooler once again, and we may just bring one of those cooler interludes through in time for Christmas Day. You may get a colder interlude through, but to get real cold, we need to replace all of this blue and purple up here around Greenland and Iceland. We need to get rid of that and replace it with sort of yellow and orange colours. When we do that, that's when we start to push the proper polar air out of the North Pole. Have a look at the ECMWF for a week's time. Again, we're bringing that cooler push through from the northwest on Friday the 19th. So yeah, it could turn colder, particularly to the north. There could be some wintry showers up there on that northwesterly flow. Go through to next weekend. The high pressure ridges in. That could give us some frosty nights over next weekend. Get through to day 10, Monday the 22nd, and we've gone back into that mild southwesterly flow. No doubt a cold front waiting to bring the next push of cooler air down from the northwest. But again, no real signal there up to Monday the 22nd for proper northern blocking. So it looks like we're going to be keeping it pretty much as we are actually up to Christmas, I think, with cooler, milder interludes sort of alternating, and overall December panning out very much near normal. Get beyond Christmas, there may be a suggestion, particularly from the CFS, that things could start to get a little bit more blocked as we go into the start of January, but I would want to see the JMA agreeing on that as well, whilst it's just the CFS, although the Beige Climate Centre has been hinting at it as well, and I haven't shown you those charts today, but the BCC has been hinting that as we go into January we might start setting up a little bit more blocking, but I want to see the JMA sort of picking up on that also, but nothing definitively severely cold showing up for the foreseeable future. In case of cool snaps and milder spells alternating up to Christmas, and then as we go beyond Christmas, we'll have to wait and see. That's it for now, and thanks for watching.